Yes, good morning and welcome to the newspaper review on Morning Dew. I am Mudut Dominic.
And my name is Olajibo. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, this is Cactv, and right about now we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back we'll take a look at the quotes for the day and also take a look at the news making headlines around the globe. Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So quickly we'll take a look at the quote for the day, and this is taken from the book of Psalm 33 verse 22, and it says, "Let your unfailing love surround us, Lord, for our hope is in you alone." I'll take that again. Let your unfailing love surround us, for our hope only is in you. What this implies is that the Lord surrounds us with his unfailing hope. And then if our love and our trust is in him, he would always come through for us and show us his unfailing love, only if your hope is in him. So this morning I urge you to cast your cares and your fears and your burdens onto the Lord and trust in him. Let your hope be in the Lord, because his unfailing love will always come through for you, because our God is love. Okay, so that's the quote for today. So let's quickly dive right into the newspaper review, and we'll be starting with the Punch newspaper. And the first story that we have says, Reps probe 447 billion COVID-19 spending, summon 83 in MDAs. The House of Representatives has summoned 83 ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government as it begins an investigation into the alleged mismanagement of over 447.6 billion naira COVID-19 intervention from 2020 to 2022. Checks by the Punch in the budget of the MDAs showed that at least 22 of them got not less than 447.6 billion naira as COVID-19 funds in 2020 alone. This also implies that the COVID-19 intervention fund from 2020 to 2022 was way higher than the 447.6 billion naira received, by less than half the numbers of the MDAs invited by the House of Representatives from the probe slated to begin from November 27, 2023 and end on December 4th. The House invited the Ministries of Agriculture and Food Security, Communications and Digital Economy, Federal Road Maintenance Agency, and scores of other ministries, departments, and agencies. The MDAs are to appear before the lawmakers to answer questions on alleged mismanagement of COVID-19 intervention funds distributed among them to fight the global health pandemic. Okay, so that's the first story that we have, and it's really a call for concern when we have when money is being disbursed out for people to manage the health of persons, and then it's being mismanaged, and then it's also not being used for the purpose at which it was disbursed for. It really calls for a lot of concern, and I'm happy that this is coming up, because we still have a lot to deal with, and mismanagement of fund is not part of the deal at all. Engineer Ola, what's your view?
Well, normally in Nigeria, this is the news we'll always listen to, that Reps is probing 447 billion naira COVID-19 spending. It's not a new thing. We will not see the results. I can assure you that, except maybe God will intervene, and then we'll be able to see the results, and they'll be able to bring all the culprits into a book. Because lots of probes has happened in this country and there's no result at all. This is one of them. We are just praying that the House of Reps, because many Nigerians believe that they are looking for a way to get their own share out of the money. That's why they have initiated the probe. And at the end of the day, we will not tell any story. Nobody will be a death weight, nobody will be taken to court, and nobody will face any punishment. It's not the first time of hearing this kind of story. So we are just praying to God that maybe at this particular one, there will be result, and people that are guilty will be convicted. Let us hope so. I don't have much to say on that.
All right, let's hope that this would really, or they would really appear before the lawmakers and give proper details and accountability to whatever it is, because accountability is a major key, and it's something we talk about here every now and then. When people are not accountable for what they do, there is always room for mismanagement. Okay, going forward, we'll have to take a look at the second story that we have from The Punch, and this says BRT users lament shortage of buses. And also this calls for a long queue as well. Some users of the bus rapid transit have lamented the shortage of buses and the long queues they experience daily, while pleading with the government to provide more buses. Some commuters who spoke with the Punch Metro on Monday claimed that the majority of Lagos State commuters use the bus rapid transit as a result of the increase in the cost of transportation in the state. They also claim that the cost of BRT transit was lower than those of the commercial buses, noting that the lengthy queues appeared never ending because of the strong demand. Okay, so we'll also see that the Punch also reported that the Lamata, which is the LAMATA, in a statement announced that Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has directed the implementation of 25% discount beginning on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Following appeal to the governor, he extended the passenger fare, reducing by 25% across the regulated bus and rail transport services until another review was announced. Okay, so this is actually not news. It's something we see every day, and this queue really started, increased more when the governor reduced the fare by 25%, and it really went a long way, or is still going a long way, to help a lot of masses, because 25% being off from your transport every day is a lot of work. And now to see that there's always a long queue when you go there, it is not being exaggerating, or not this is not us exaggerating, it is what it is. When you go out there to the BRT lane, you always see a long queue, and this is because there is shortage of buses and they are pleading to the government. And I also think that aside from the fact that there are buses on ground, like we always say, that there is always no supervision to things. There are times that I will go to the BRT stand, the days I just feel like I want to use the public transport, and then you'd see that some of the buses are only just parked there, some are not going, and then you just see queues all lined up, especially when you go through towards Oshodi. You have buses on ground, and then these are not happening. So I feel that some bus stations who also have these buses should also move to where they know that there is a lot of queues on ground and manage it. So, but back to what the news is saying, that the government needs to provide a lot of buses on ground to make sure that they aid the queue that we are currently experiencing. Engineer Allah, what do you have to say to this?
First and foremost, what I have to say is that there's a very big problem in the system. When you look at it from different perspectives, you realize that from takeoff, the project has a very big error, in the sense that there's something we call forecast management in transport management. And what is forecast management is how you load your buses, how you fuel your buses, and the route of your buses. All this has to be simplified. if you look at this bus rapid transport, it was brought from Brazil. The idea was brought from Brazil, and Ghana came to Nigeria to study the process, and they are doing it in Ghana. But let's look at Nigeria home. We have many local governments in Lagos, and you can see that not from all the local governments that these buses are taken off. Maybe local government. I don't know if they have a schedule for, but every local government or joint local government. No. So these buses are not spread all over Lagos State. That is one. And when you go to their garages, they have a very minor garages. When you go there, you see most of the buses are parked. They are not working. There is no maintenance. If you want to look into that business, that is Lagos State government making money from this BRT, you'll be surprised. Because when you are running transport business, you must have a maintenance arrangement. You must have spare part arrangement. You brought this bus. Okay, when they started, they brought buses from India, Leland and Venice from India. There was an arrangement between them and Indian bus manufacturers before they started the project. The project was set aside. They brought buses from China, Yutong also. Those buses are no longer on the road. Now we have these buses coming from Europe. Mercedes-Benz, but coming from Europe. No maintenance backup. Most of the buses are now grounded. They are not working. How would you make money from this project? Thank God that the government is subsidizing the fare now, that okay, let's reduce 25%, or let's cut it down to 25% so that many people will be able to afford it. But for how long will this take? In the past, we had lots of buses running Lagos metropolis. Where are those buses now? Lagos started, it failed. Eco bus started, it failed. This one has come again. We are not praying that this one will fail, but the government now should look at it holistically and realize what are the problems. That you cannot be using buses in Lagos without maintenance, without spare parts. Now, if there's any fault, they will go outside and call roadside mechanic to repair, to maintain the buses for them. There are no training schools for the mechanics, for the panel beaters, for the auto electrician. There are no training schools. And when you don't train your people, how will they do the job? So that is a very big problem. The government is always trying to cover up.
You know, this still boils down to the fact that there is always mismanagement and less supervision when it comes to things that pertain to.
What do you want to supervise in this type of project? There are, okay, we have local governments in Lagos areas. We have Vasna di Badagry, we have in Atikorodu, we have Atekpe. All these areas may have workshops and garages. In those countries where they run something like this, let's say like in India, in the city like Chennai, they have about 5,000 buses of a brand. Let's say Mercedes-Benz, 5,000 buses. They have Leland, 5,000 buses. Let's say in Lagos alone we have over 10,000 buses in Lagos, running in Lagos, and they make sure that every day maybe only 500 buses will be off the road. They make sure that most of the time the buses are on the road. Maybe only 500 out of 10,000 are off the road. Maybe gearbox, tire, but not the case is not so in this country. Yes. If you are running transport business, that is Lagos State government is running transport business, you should look back and think that okay, let us be assembling and manufacturing these buses in our country. You signed an agreement for 10 years that give us buses from China or from Brazil. For 5 years we'll be importing the buses from you. At the 6th year, we must be manufacturing the total components of the buses in this country. The agreement should be there, but it's not there.
But let's not forget the fact that this is still Nigeria, where things need to be done with a lot of attention. So now in this case where we have a section like this where things are not done rightly, the least that we need is supervision. Because when we have people who are specifically supervising the movements of every buses, we'll be able to know, okay, which one is functioning and which one is not functioning, which one needs attention, and the right person to attend to whatever it is. Not calling an electrician to fix an engine, not calling an engine fixer to fix electric. I don't know if you get my point. So it still boils down to the fact that we need supervision. There is less supervision in cases like this. Sometimes you go to the bus station, you go to where they are queued, you see people, you see the people who are selling tickets, doing things, rowdily, and people are not organized. So I still feel that there is so much to do when it comes to having people to manage each things the way they need to be, because this is Nigeria. We can't overrule the fact that this is Nigeria, where people do things unruly.
You are talking about supervision. Look at the buses on the road. They are dilapidated. There's no proper maintenance on the buses on the road. Most of the bodies are scattered, dented on the road, because they don't have materials, parts to replace. We are talking of management. When you don't have organization, structured organizations, if you are bringing in buses to the country, you must also take into consideration the inventory of spare parts that are coming to the country, body parts that are coming to the country. You understand? Electrical parts that are coming to the country, they are not coming to the country. Most of those parts are not manufactured in Nigeria. They are imported, and they are not available. So what do? We've run lots of transportational business in Lagos by Lagos State government that has failed in the past. So my fear is that what are we going to do now over these BRT issues? Because we have only one bus that, okay, we are talking about bringing in buses that will be using using gas. It's a very good thing, but what about the maintenance of these buses? Lamata was so common have a training school where you organize and train mechanics for these buses, parameters for these buses. They are not trained. What about spare parts for these buses? You are just running a new bus. Okay, if you go to any other country, you will see a new bus. For the next 25-30 years, the buses are still moving on the road. But in Nigeria, give the bus 3 years. The bus is dilapidated because of maintenance. Management is maintenance. What you cannot maintain, what do you want to manage? You have a phone that is faulty, and there is no adequate engineer to repair your phone for you. What are you going to manage?
But the point is, if people are managing stuff well, it would last for a period of time, not just working for just a few months or few days before it works. I still believe that they all work together. They all work together, both supervision, both management, and then structure, and then having the needed, spare parts, production company to produce the necessary things, and then a training system for people who can do this job and do it properly. So they all work together. We can't overrule the fact that all of this put together needs to come, we need to have a proper structure to put all of these things together. And I hope the governor would come into see to this, that things are done properly and amicably.
Remember in the past that Nigeria in Lagos State and other states, they ran mass transit. The federal government poured so much of money into mass transit. Where is mass transit today? Because of maintenance, no spare parts for all these buses. You don't just go to England or go to Brazil and bring buses into the country that you cannot maintain, that have no spare parts. How do you maintain the buses? Okay, give an example. Are you saying that to repair BRT, you have to go to Ladipo market to purchase condemned used spare parts? This is also affecting many Nigerians, that you buy a Tokumbo car or buy a brand new car, and when you need a part from the car, you have to go to Ladipo where you can get the part. It applies to all the automobiles in this country now. No spare parts. So except Lagos State government will take a look at the second thought that, okay, let us go in and bring in spare parts for these buses, and let's get Nigerians trained to maintain these buses. Good mechanic. If you have 1,000 buses running, maybe only 20 will be off the road in a day, people will not be complaining. Now you will say you are looking for foreign exchange again to go to abroad and bring more buses. Why you are not maintaining the ones you have? All those buses that were brought from India, some of them were about 10, 15, 18 years old, that were brought into this country. Look at how the buses were. Well, they were not new buses. But now that you are bringing, who brought these buses? The last governor. No, ordered these buses. Ambody brought the buses. Now Ambody left. Sanwo-Olu is there. This is the 50th year of Sanwo-Olu or thereabout. So the buses are not up to 10 years, and look at them on the road. No proper maintenance. So this project will always be like this, except we go back into our drawing board and sit down thoroughly and investigate what are the problems, how can we solve this problem of spare parts, and adequate professional technicians who can maintain the buses. Otherwise this problem will still linger on.
Back and forth.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Engineer Ola, for throwing more insight to that. Okay, so lastly, let's take a look at the last story from the Punch newspaper, and this says presidency fumes, tackles Obasanjo over democracy comment. The presidency on Monday blamed former President Olusegun Obasanjo for the current state of Nigeria's democracy. The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Ononuga, who spoke to the Punch, noted that the democracy the country currently practices date back to direct input by Obasanjo when he led the country's first as military head of state from 1976 to 1979 and as civilian president from 1999 to 2007. Obasanjo ought to know that he brought these things into Nigeria. He was the one who made us adopt it in 1979. He must have seen it as expensive and unsuitable when he governed us for 8 years and even wanted an extension for another 4 years. Okay, we'll also see that. So the way he is sounding, it is like the man is getting wiser after leaving office. Ononuga said, reacting to Obasanjo's post-presidential stance. We also have that the presidency's response followed comments made by Obasanjo at the high-level consultation and rethinking Western liberal democracy in Africa held at Green Resort Legacy of Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library at Abeokuta. We also see that Obasanjo had criticized Western democracy, suggesting it had not delivered good governance and development in Africa. He called for a re-examination and moderation of democracy to better suit African nations, citing the Western model's disregard for African history and complexities. So that's the last story from Vanguard newspaper. I think that if he's coming out to say, make statements as this, is actually saying it from experience.
Yes.
And then is from some, if I didn't do it well, let's take for instance, if I was in a certain position and I didn't do it well, now staying back, I can see from a clearer picture how things can be done from my experience that I didn't do well, and how we can manage it with this current situation. So I do not see anything wrong with what with his suggestion and his idea so far in seeing that things can happen, because he's actually saying it from experience. Engineer Ola, I'm sure you have so much to say, because you were also someone who experienced his government as at the time. So what's your view?
You see, Obasanjo this time around is not wrong for him to have come out to say that the type of democracy we are practicing is not suitable for Africans. Why I'm saying this is that because when a sort of people gather together and they give an advice about something that let's go back to democracy. Let's practice American system of democracy. It was not the one I was thinking. Nigerians were thinking that this should be a better idea for us than the ministerial system of government that were being practiced by the British before the military coup, and then that was abolished in Nigeria. When they gave him this idea, okay, let's test it and see. Having tested it, now he has realized that this system of government is too expensive for any African nation to use. For example, look at how much money we are spending on to run the government in this country. It's on the high side. They need good homes, the legislators, the senators, and they need good cars. They need maintenance allowance. We cannot afford this type of expensive system of government. That is what Masato is saying. He has tasted it, he has experienced it, but now he's coming up to tell us that it's not good for Africa. No African nation has benefited from this system of government. Economically, African nations are going backward. They have nothing. It's like a slavery. And even in the West, those that are practicing it in the West, there are a lot of complaints that is coming from this system of government. So what Baba is saying right now, Baba is right for saying this. It's now time for us to look inward. Okay, before now, your empire, they have their own system of government that they use check and balances. We have the Oyomesi. These are the chiefs. We have the king, we have the Oyomesi, and we have the Oluwos. That is Oluwo is also a member of the Oyomesi. So they are able to check the roughness or the excesses of the king. They call him to order when he wants to go astray. But the late Oba of Oyo took this to America and told them in America that look, we have our own system of government. Even before Oyibo people started coming to Africa, there are lots of empires in Africa, but now we are practicing Western democracy, which is not working for us. I believe, to me, what he's saying now is right, because as at that time there were lots of committees that suggested we should go into American system of government, and we have been doing it. There's no gain in it. Nigeria is becoming poorer and poorer and poorer every day because we spend so much money, on this type of government. And again, the Ambassador is saying that this government does not represent, according to the definition, what is the democracy? Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But this system is government of the people, by the few people, for the entire people. So it's not working. Gaddafi said this when he was leading Libya. But look at Libya now. They want to go back to foreign system of government. Look at Libya today. So what Baba is saying to me now, I support what the old man is saying now.
Because
that this thing is not working for Africans at all. So if you have, but somebody was saying that about when you were there, why didn't you propose to the National Assembly that okay, what do we do? People are sitting down, enjoying money, enjoying wealth. You want to go and tell them abandon the wealth and become poorer. Would they listen to you? So no president can talk to the National Assembly to say we don't want this system of government. Nobody. And referendum is not in our system. There's no way we can do a referendum in this country because it's not in our system of democracy. We just have to accept what they give to us. We cannot do anything. So it's now time for Nigerian elders to sit down now and say, oh, this democracy is not working for us. What would be the alternative? In the Igbo land, they have their system of ruling. They have the obese. In Yoruba land, they have their own. In the north, they have their own. We can sit down together and then converge and decide, oh, this is the system of government we'll be using now, and it will be a benefit to Nigerian economy.
All right, so quickly we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take further stories from Vanguard and then The Sun. Please stay tuned and go nowhere. Yes, welcome back from that quick break. So quickly we'll take a look at further stories from Vanguard and also the Sun newspaper. So starting with Vanguard, the first story that we have says unease in financial markets as CBN's MPC meeting fails to hold. As Nigerians continue to battle the harsh impact of the rising inflation rate and depreciation of the naira, anxiety over the direction of the economy heightened yesterday. As the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, deferred the bi-monthly Monetary Policy Committee's MBC meeting for the second consecutive time. Created to facilitate attainment of the objective of price stability and to support the economic policy of the federal government. The MBC, according to the CBN Act 2007 Section 12, is the highest policy-making organ of the Apex Bank. It is mandated to review, in quote, economic and financial conditions of the economy, determine appropriate stance of the policy in the short to medium term, review regularly the CBN monetary policy framework and deport changes when necessary. Communication monetary financial policy decision effectively to the public and ensure the credibility of the model of a transmission mechanism and monetary policy. So that's the first story that we have from Vanguard newspaper. So Engineer, so this unease financial market as CBN is meeting has failed to hold. What is the issue between the extension and the failure to hold the meeting?
Now, as you have said about the function of the MPC. Now we have a new governor of Central Bank. Now he would like to sit down and understand all the policies they have put into practice, which one of them is working, which one of them is failing, and then to decide which way to follow and which approach to follow,
and also work at its pace.
Yes, because now we know Nigeria is in a mess economically. You know that there's inflation in Nigeria today, and we have a new governor of Central Bank. He has to sit down and study everything, not a matter of just holding meeting and talking or deliberating jargons or nonsense. What we have to discuss now has to be to have an impact on Nigerian economy financially. Maybe I'm not thinking for him. Maybe that is why the management of today is showing this committee that no, we don't want to have any meeting until we know where the problem is. Let us understand the problem and let us provide solution to the problem. We cannot just say every day we have a meeting without any result at all. I think perhaps the new governor of Central Bank is trying to review the policies, review what policies they have been using at Central Bank, and then bring about a new policy that will benefit Nigerian economically. Otherwise, there's no reason why they are running away from the meeting. There must be a cogent reason behind that, and I think one of the reasons is that he wants to make sure he understands what is going on, because when you get to a new environment and you don't understand how everything is being done in that environment, you are bringing a policy, it will fail. First, you must understand, get yourself familiar with the environment, know what is wrong and what is good. Okay, this is good, let's continue. This is not working for us, let's discard it before you can say, okay, we are going to hold meeting. I believe Mr. Cardoso is trying to understudy everything that is being done at the Central Bank before you come out with a new policy. That is what I think. Maybe I am right, maybe I am wrong, time will tell.
Well, I think I also support what you say, because there is no point holding a meeting when you don't know what the problem is and what to talk about. So there has to be something to discuss. There has to be a lineup of what to discuss when you get to a meeting. All right, so let's take a look at the second story. This says APC snatch, grab and run agenda inimical to democracy. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, has again raised alarm over attempts by the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) to derail Nigerians' democracy using subterfuge. He said that the party's snatch, grab and run agenda of opposition parties' mandate is inimical to democracy. Atiku spoke through his media advisor, Mercy Paul Ibe, in a statement in Abuja on Monday. He explained that the ideal notion of democracy does not just reside in a representative government but is essentially rooted in the plurality of ideas. Thus, for a system to be seen as truly democratic, it must necessarily accommodate opposition and opposing views. Atiku further said, sadly and suddenly, we have seen a trend whereby the range of opposition engagement continues to be narrowed by the ruling party in Nigeria. Okay, so that's the second story from the Vanguard newspaper. We discussed something like this yesterday when I already knew something like this was going to come up, where people would come out and say, yes, it seems now we are now running a one-party governance. And going by what Atiku is saying, I think there is more to it. Engineer Ola?
Well, you see, there's nothing to say. When the head is already cut off, you know, they used to say that he who is already down, you know, has nothing to offer. If you are in the football field and you are down on the field, you are not in the game. So whatever Atiku is saying now, to me may not hold any water at all, because you know they contested for an election and a winner emerged, a loser emerged. Now he's saying that they are grabbing their job, they are duplicating their job, they are doing what they have to do. You know, we know him, we have seen what he has exhibited as a character, but I don't want to judge anybody. I'm not a judge, but what I have to say is that, you know, the spirit of Olympic is not to win or to lose, but to take part in the competition. You know, I don't know what really he's saying now, because the matter was decided in court, and he has said that, okay, whatever court gives out as a verdict, I will accept it. So I believe that this APC government that is now on, I don't know the agenda, but I think they have an agenda which they are trying to pursue. So what Atiku is saying now is irrelevant. That is to me, because initially PDP zoned the presidency to the south, either to the southeast or to the south. Unexpectedly, it came out again and said that I want to represent PDP. I'm the presidential candidate of PDP. And Tambuwa now had to step down for Atiku.